This radio show is brought to you by All In Cincinnati. All In Cincinnati, an equity coalition, is sponsored by BI3, Greater Cincinnati Foundation, the Carol Ann and Ralph V. Hale Jr. Foundation, Fifth Third Foundation, Interact for Health, and the United Way of Greater Cincinnati. Thanks for tuning in.
We're rolling together now. We're rolling together now.
Hello, and welcome to the All In Cincinnati radio show. I am Denisha Porter, Executive Director of All In Cincinnati, where we focus on building racial equity as we honor, celebrate, and love Black women in Hamilton County. Housed in Greater Cincinnati Foundation, we aim to deepen, amplify, and multiply local and regional efforts to build equitable, thriving neighborhoods. Today, we will discuss another great topic, marriage rates among Black Americans. Did you know that Black Americans have the lowest marriage rates of any other racial and ethnic group in the country? The numbers are even worse in Ohio. Today, we will talk with a researcher, relationship experts, and someone hosting matchmaking activities about why these numbers are so prevalent, how low marriage rates affect our communities, and what can be done to reverse this trend. Our first guest is Crystal Kendrick, President of the Voice of Your Customer marketing consulting firm and publisher of the Voice of Black Cincinnati. Crystal, thank you for joining us today. To start us off, can you share the data about Black marriage in America, Ohio, and here in Hamilton County?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor to be here, and it's great to be a guest in this wonderful panelist. According to the U.S. Census, marriage rates for Black Americans are the lowest of all racial and ethnic groups. In 2020, 51.4% of Black men and 47.5% of Black women had never been married. Unfortunately, marriage rates for Black Ohioans are below the national average. In 2019, only 27% of Black Ohioans had ever been married. Demographics, among other factors, may play a role in decreasing marriage rates for Black Americans, especially here in the Queen City. Local census data in both Cincinnati and Hamilton County confirms that there are 23 to 27% more Black women than Black men ages 18 and older.
Hold on, Crystal, say that again.
Yes.
Because that's woo.
Local census data for both Cincinnati and Hamilton County confirms that there are 23 to 27% more Black women than Black men, ages 18 and older. The census reports the median age at a first marriage in the United States climbed in 2020 to 30.5 years for men and 28.1 years for women. For this reason, it is important to look at the gender disparities by age. I think you will be even more shocked by these numbers. In the city of Cincinnati, there are more Black women than Black men in every age group except 65 to 66. The 12% variation is a bit surprising considering the life expectancy of Black men in this area is 63. Which makes heterosexual same-sex marriage for Black seniors even more challenging. Listen to these gender disparities among Black Cincinnatians. Ages 22 to 24, there are 78% more Black females than males. 25 to 29, there's a 38% disparity. 30 to 34, there's a 25% disparity. 35 to 39, which are prime marriage years, it's a 40% disparity. We have 40% more Black women, Black adult women, ages 35 to 39 in Cincinnati than we do men. These numbers stay the same. Even at age 55 to 59, there are 39% more Black women than Black men in the city limits. Hamilton County's demographics are different, but not necessarily better for Black marriage rates. Under 21, there are more Black males than females in every age group except ages 10 to 14, which the difference is statistically insignificant. Over the age of 21, there, of course, are more Black women than Black men in every age group. These numbers are more temperate. Ages 22 to 24, there's a 24% difference. 25 to 29, another 24% difference. The greatest difference is 27% for Black men and women ages 30 to 34. And the closest that we get is age 45 to 49. There's only a 15% difference. Black women often say it is hard to find a Black man in Cincinnati. Statistically, they are right. Remember, we analyze census data, and I once heard an urban community action agency leader say that, as many as 25% of Black men are off the grid. However, these differences are staggering nonetheless.
So, Crystal, basically you said there's about a 15% to 40% gap between Black women and Black men, between the age ranges. So, based on that research, why are the numbers so much lower than the national average?
Well, in addition to demographics, several other factors impede Black women from getting married, such as the rise in Black LGBT males and interracial marriages, incarceration, guidelines for public assistance, and the growing educational divide between Black men and women. Let's start with Black LGBT males. While 61% of Black LGBT adults nationwide identify as female, data shows that Black LGBTQ men are more likely to live in urban areas and geographies other than the South. Although we do not have the exact number of Black LGBT males in Greater Cincinnati, we have a thriving Black LGBT community and the number of Black men who partner with Black men increasing over time. Another challenge that challenges Black marriage rates is interracial marriage. That affects Black women getting married. The Pew Research Center has reported that newlywed Black men are twice as likely than newlywed Black women to intermarry. In 2015, 24% of recently married Black men were married outside of their race, compared to 12% for newly married Black women. Incarceration is yet another factor. Black men are overrepresented in prisons and jails across the country, making it difficult for them to foster and further relationships that can lead to marriage. Black Americans are also overrepresented in social service programs with income-based eligibility requirements. Several advocates and elected officials have illustrated that these criteria discourage marriage, resulting in single-parent households. Differences in education and lived experiences can be factors that affect marriage rates for Black women as well. According to the Education Trust, more Black women nationwide have associate, bachelor, and graduate degrees than Black men. The Atlantic reported that the Brookings Institute studied married women ages 25 to 35 and found that 32% of married Black women had husbands of the same education level. Furthermore, 60% of Black women married significant others with less education under their belt. And according to Black demographics nationwide, there are 93 Black men with full-time jobs for every 100 Black women with full-time jobs, although that number can vary greatly depending on location. Finally, subgroups of Black Americans are more comfortable with relationships that used to be called common law marriages. For financial, legal, and cultural reasons, Black couples simply choose to present as couples but never legally married.
So, Crystal, what does the research really tell us about how lower marriage rates affect Black women overall?
Several studies identify the lower household incomes or less wealth, single parenting, and mental health outcomes of lower marriage rates. All in Cincinnati reminds us that the median wage for Black women in Hamilton County is $15 an hour, including those with graduate degrees. As a single head of household, it is difficult to even make ends meet, yet alone buy a home or acquire wealth. Unmarried Black women also are more likely to be single parents, which raises other short and long-term challenges, especially for Black men. The data presented thus far is related to marriage rates, but Pew Research recently published a report that indicated that 47% of Black adults are single, meaning not married, living with a partner, or in a committed relationship. Quite a bit of research talks about the effect of being single and almost feeling unwanted that can have a negative effect on Black women's mental health. But I will allow the relationship coach and specialist to address that issue. So thank you for allowing me to share my research findings about Black marriage rates in Cincinnati and across the country.
Oh, thank you, Crystal. Black women never unwanted, always wanted. But I didn't realize that there was such a disparity in the number of Black men and women in our region. Thank you for sharing that information. But before we move on, I definitely want you to tell everybody about yourself, about the voice of your customer, and the voice of Black Cincinnati.
So thank you. I am Crystal Kendrick. I am the president of The Voice of Your Customer, which is a marketing consulting firm that specializes in market research, secret shopping, and community outreach. I am also the publisher and founder of The Voice of Black Cincinnati, which is a media company designed to educate, recognize, and create opportunities for African Americans in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal.
All in Cincinnati is a racial equity coalition working to dismantle racial inequities in health, housing, education, economic mobility, and justice by uplifting Black women in Hamilton County. The purpose of All in Cincinnati Equity Coalition is to co-create an equitable community in which Black women can live in healthy, safe, opportunity-rich neighborhoods. All in Cincinnati is a collaborative effort that is driven by over 20 core team members and 150 coalition members. Our mission is led by 3 pillars: truth, racial healing, and transformation. Our goal is to shine a light on the truth about racial inequities in Hamilton County, have those open and honest conversations with other people, including racial healing, and drive systems and policy change by honoring, celebrating, and loving Black women. Consider getting involved by joining the coalition at www.allincincinnati.org. The Voice of Black Cincinnati is a media company designed to educate, recognize, and create opportunities for African Americans in the region. Content includes local Black news, a calendar of culturally competent events, a job board of equal opportunity employment opportunities, the most comprehensive database of Black-owned businesses, and scholarships for Black students, a true resource to the community. Join the 1 million annual page viewers by visiting www.thevoiceofblackcincinnati.com to learn more. Add a little culture to your inbox by subscribing to our weekly newsletter. Sign up to receive a text of things to do in Black Cincinnati each week. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and other social platforms to see what's happening in Black Cincinnati daily. You won't want to miss all the exciting events happening in 2023.
Welcome back, everyone. Also joining us today to talk about Black marriage are 2 relationship experts. Ashli, please introduce yourself.
Hello. I'm Dr. Ashli Hill, residing from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Domonique, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Domonique Broomfield, and I reside in Cincinnati, Ohio as well.
Great. And then we also have Lakeisa in the building. Can you introduce yourself too?
Well, hello, love bugs. They ain't ready. Y'all done walked into the Terror Dome. Well, my name is Lakeisa Ealy, also known as Miss Kiki. I am what they call the conversation conductor for Talk About It Tuesdays here in the city of Cincinnati and beyond. Yeah, that's what I am.
Say beyond.
And we still have Crystal here with us. Crystal, you want to say hello to everybody?
Yes, I am Crystal Kendrick. I'm the president of The Voice of Your Customer and the publisher of The Voice of Black Cincinnati. It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome, ladies. Again, I am astonished at the marriage rates among Black Americans and how this trend affects our race. As relationship counselors, what are you hearing about marriage from single Black Americans, mainly single Black women? Who wants to go first, Domonique or Ashli?
Well, I can go first.
Okay.
So I have different avenues or ways to where I'm hearing this information. So I am a vision coach. So I help women disconnect from systems, cycles, and situations so that they can experience the best life that they, that they envision for themselves.
Life, yeah.
So in my coaching practice, one of the things that I'm hearing a lot of is that they are pretty much doing what has always been done. It's a generational thing where the mother did not marry or married to the husband, to the dad, and knew about his open relationships. And I think back then they can have another family on the same street. It's a lot of system cycles and situations, like I said, that the women are just repeating. A lot of behavior and unaddressed mental health dynamics come into play really big. A lot of women are not doing the type of self-care that includes your medical team. A lot of self-care is steward to looking, how you look, your hair and your nails and outings and things like that. But there's another level of self-care that I talk about with my clients to implement with partnering with their gynecologist, your therapist, these are all things that contribute to your overall health. But I'm seeing a lot of women settle for whatever they can get. I go through and teach about values and respect and boundaries, and some of them don't even know what their values are. They've never taken the time to sit down and even frame out what that looks like for them for whatever that they want. I'm seeing a lot of women adopt what the man wants. They adopt what that individual, their partners want. They're not researching and coming up with what they want holistically for them. But just to get someone or maintain a relationship, they're more apt to settle or adopt what the other individual wants. So that's some of the things I'm seeing.
Absolutely. I would say not only settling, but and changing their standards to meet what someone else, wants in that moment of time. But I'm also seeing the inability to communicate, even when they do know what they want. Saying, again, to those boundaries, I'm not comfortable with that, or I want more. So afraid to lose a person and so settling with having a piece of a person, be it emotionally, physically. I'm definitely, seeing and hearing a lot of that. Not knowing what values even mean. What are values? What are boundaries? Everybody likes to throw around that word toxic. And I mean, seriously, it's a buzzword. Not realizing. Yeah. And that's the thing. I was like, oh, no, sis, you are toxic. You know what I mean? And not unpacking that baggage themselves. Trauma is huge and real in how people develop relationships. And the biggest thing I hear, I'm on a timeline. Yeah. I'm 35, or I'm this old, I should have a husband, I should have kids, or I should have a wife, or whatever the case may be. And instead, and being so focused on that timeline that they forget all of the other important factors that would make something healthy and sustainable.
You said something and I want to dive deeper into that. You talked about fear. Like, how does that show up?
Man, self-sabotaging.
Right.
So, it could be where they are in a good relationship, or they're headed towards, that holy mecca of, I got the ring, right. But they're so afraid, people can get so adjusted to chaos that stability scares them because it looks so different for their lives that, they don't know what to do. So they'll start arguments, or they'll start backing away or pushing away when they really need someone to, rein them in and pull them closer. Most of the time I see fear manifest itself, within relationships.
Gotcha. You want to?
Yeah, I want to say something about that fear. What I've witnessed is women trying to, let me say it like I talk, but I'm going to get you before you get me. I'm going to leave before you leave me. It's a lot of that type of mindset, the clap back nature. I'm really seeing that there is a severe underdevelopment when it comes to the management of self, of being able to navigate well. And I also agree with her with the communication. The biggest thing I teach above anything is talking and how to communicate well. And the reason why I do that is because of the untreated
mental health issues.
Yes, which they're so hyper, or they have undiagnosed ADD, ADHD. And what that looks like, real quick, what that looks like is if she's in a normal conversation and the partner could be giving her feedback or trying to just discuss something, that person is defensive. They escalate in yelling. I mean, it's just so many things that they're experiencing in that moment. So one of the things I have to say, because they'll do me like that too, but I have to say, take the pressure off yourself.
Hey.
You can call me back in 24 to 48 hours.
Right. We got time.
Like, and they're like, they're saying, I didn't know that I had that option. So when people talk to me, right, they don't know. They don't know. When people talk to me, and I'm introducing new language that they can use with probably their mother unresolved issues. They didn't know that they can tell their own mother or partner or whoever else they're in communication with. Thank you for sharing with me, and I'll get back with you. Or I don't have to respond. My response is not required, or even to keep your boundaries. This decision is made for me. I don't want this for me. I don't have to explain.
And that's a trauma response.
Exactly.
That's a trauma response.
So teaching people how to communicate well with the empowerment that you have a voice and you matter. But they don't know this. And these are learned behaviors that your parents do with you. When you're a kid and you're crying, what do you need?
Right.
I hear you crying, so that lets me know that you're not happy about something. I can't hear you if you're crying. Versus the parent that's going, shut up. You always crying, shut up, lay down. So the child never learns how to play tennis, use their voice. And so I think the doctor can speak to this a little bit more. Go through a childhood like that. You're not going to have the skills. I don't know what some of those terms are called, but I remember one of the issues with ADD, because I have a child that has it, is that their ability to process information at the rate that they should or absorb information is drastically reduced. So just imagine if your child has these issues and the parent is not engaged holistically with that child's medical team and whatever else and changing things at home. You have people moving to their adult lives with these barriers. They have these barriers already. And you're not going to hear me call anyone a name or put somebody in a box that I despise it, because people don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so I don't use the word toxic or anything because I don't think it's fair. I think these people, you don't have the education. You don't have the education to be able to do well. However, as adults, I feel.
How do you feel?
It's our responsibility.
It is. It's definitely.
It's our responsibility to recognize the patterns that's coming out, recognize how many relationships you've been in this year. Look at you. I say look at you. I don't really encourage women to tell me about their spouse, or the big thing is narcissistic men. I don't want to hear nothing about it, because you're becoming a master of everything outside of you, but you still don't know you.
Oh, wow.
You will become
What
does narcissist mean? Tell me.
It's a personality disorder, right? And so I hate this other term too, but it's the true definition of gaslighting. And everybody thinks they know what gaslighting is. And, and now we've got this new term of love bombing.
Yep, I heard that one too.
Old terms.
Oh, yeah, new terms
now, right?
Yes. But in terms, from a clinical standpoint, most narcissists have the inability to regulate their own emotions. And so because they can't regulate their own emotions, they regulate yours for you.
Yes.
And it's all manipulation. That's what narcissistic behavior is from a clinical standpoint.
Right.
Okay.
And people just throw the term around just because it's cute now.
Right. And I want to add a little bit to the narcissism thing. I want to say this. Narcissism works for a certain type of participant. It's always going to be a codependent. It's always going to be two codependents. It's always going to be the one that needs the attention and the one that I just have to take care of you. I just have to give you the attention. Those are the polarities. Those are the things that pull those two relationships together. That's it. You're rarely going to see a narcissist with the individual that's self-sufficient, self-sustaining, have boundaries in place, and that's not afraid to release you.
They won't even call them back.
Right. You don't even call. So when I talk to women, when I talk to women, and the one thing I say, we're not talking about your narc spouse. We're gonna talk about how to make sure that you don't qualify no more. You don't qualify to be picked. You don't qualify.
Well, can I just ask, for those of us who don't know the difference, what is a love bomb?
Really quickly, just can give us a love bomb in like 1 minute, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss love bomb, and then we'll also, what was the other term?
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting, yes. So anyone want to take love bombing really quickly?
I'll do
This
it.
is the first time I've ever heard love bomb.
I'll do it.
I thought it was just me.
I'm gonna do it. Actually, I'm gonna do it too, Ashli. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Ashli, oh my God, it's been a week, girl. Your eyes, everything about you. I think you the one. Oh my goodness. And Ashli may have low self-esteem. I got my deadline in place. And you know what? You're right. My eyes is that I could be the one. Week number 2. Oh my God, everything about you, the way you talk, everything you do.
Flowers too.
Oh my God, those flowers to your job.
That's what love bomb is.
Right, I brung them. And then here's some more jewelry. This is week 2, week 3, week 4. And if the woman doesn't know how to date, doesn't have the standards in place and things like that, in 2 weeks, she's accepting these gifts. These things are validating her. They're adding they're adding value and creating her value system. She doesn't have one. So
that becomes her value, her
Sometimes
standard.
I do have a value system, and people recognize it, but they still, because they have low self-esteem, you know what, still love
my value system better, baby.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't know you like I do.
Know, exactly.
All right, so we're going to cut really quickly. We're going to go to a commercial. When we come back, we're going to unpack love bombing and gaslighting. Then we're going to throw it to Lakeisa. Let's see what you think about all this stuff. All right.
Sorry.
If you enjoy listening to podcasts in your car, you may want to tap into Talk About It Tuesday, also known as TAT, a podcast that talks about everything from God, relationships, and even friendships. Anything goes. This series entertains while also providing different aspects of maneuvering through dates and relationships. This podcast centers on laughter and honest, mature discussions. It is an opportunity for individuals ages 35 to 65 to feel safe, open, and honest about their successful and failed dating experiences. TAT's viewership reaches over 100,000 people in Cincinnati, Detroit, and Atlanta. Due to the overwhelming responses, audience members can now join TAT in person at Park Place in Forest Park. The podcast episodes can be found on Facebook, Podbean, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow Talk About It Tuesday on Facebook to stay updated on the episodes. Dating and life can be fun, but also confusing and frivolous at times. Longtime motivational speaker and relationship coach, Domonique Broomfield is your go-to for all things dating and bringing clients' visions to action. Domonique is also the CEO of The Vision Runner, a vision management company that secures and powers up the powerless voices of women by helping them dismantle barriers in their own lives. She specializes in providing wisdom and humor while also teaching clients how to master themselves before, during, and after divorce, mental health needs, single parenting, entrepreneurship, relationships, and much more. As host of the Domonique Brand Show and listen to the Vision Radio, which airs on YouTube and various podcast outlets, Domonique has set out to encourage the world to be bold enough to learn from the lessons of the past to become a better version of themselves for the future. To book Domonique, email info@thevisionrunner.com or follow her social media handle @thevisionrunner.
All right, we're back with Domonique, Ashli, Lakeisa, and Crystal. So, Domonique, can you tell me about love bombing?
Love bombing is a aggressive way to show admiration for an individual quickly. It's usually agenda-based. It's usually a form of baiting. Because these people have analyzed you, they took a download on you, so they know what you want. Of course, every woman wants to be married. It's the thing of their dreams. So you meet an individual who really caters to your dreams, they're not concerned with organically developing a connection and an alignment. It's quickly, it is fast. As soon as the individual gets to wherever their agenda is, whatever they want, the goal has been made, they're gone, or they become distant, or they stop the behavior. So now, oh Lord, now the dopamine or the addiction is done because you high or you have a chemical release when those things happen. And so usually that's another trauma inducing situation, because now you have to go through this reprogramming and get your body and your immune system to calm down from the reacts from what you've what you've learned or what you become addicted to for the last month. But my last thing I'm gonna say, I believe, as far as I can see, that really, really works with individuals with unresolved issues, of people that don't have their own dating standards and value system in place to where they want to govern themselves when it comes to this. They can be dragged to and fro with this type of behavior when they don't have their own
validation, that type of thing.
No, it's a lot of normal things flipped. A lot of things that you do want in time when you develop. It doesn't make sense for someone to cash out on you and after 1 week. But if you like that, you want that, you don't have your own resources. Or you like bragging to your girls, girl, he did this. That's why I'm on his mind. He done spent the band on me. He got a band on whatever. That's the culture. So it's gonna play into the culture. It's good Instagram reeling. It's good stories. So it's playing into certain things. But for the evolved woman with her own bag that's able to secure herself and has her own strategy and value system, I believe it's okay. Well, I've done this, like, no thank you. It was about a week. No thank you. I don't accept gifts because I ain't giving you nothing. Right. I don't accept gifts. Let's date a little bit more. I believe that, and then of course a person may feel like, oh, you got the strong woman syndrome. You don't need nobody, and of course no,
that's
healthy
not
boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. you have enough poison to combat that with, maybe so, whatever you say, and you're off the list. But that's all I got to say about that.
Well, Ashli, can you tell me about gaslighting?
Sure. So gaslighting is when you're in that situation and you know that person said or did something, and then you confront them about that, and they're like, no, I didn't. What? What are you talking about? And then they got you questioning yourself and your sanity, and you're like, well, wait a minute. I know you did because I was standing there when you said it.
Right.
and then they're like, no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't do that. What are you talking about? And so that, making you feel crazy, it's a innocent way of manipulating the situation and you. That's what gaslighting is.
Gotcha.
For those that like to throw that term around, and it's not really gaslighting.
It's not really
describing. Yeah, it's not really gaslighting they describe it. That's what it really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lakeisa, can you tell me about ghosting and zombieing? I've never heard of zombieing.
Please speak on zombieing.
Well, I will say, so ghosting and zombieing can somewhat start off the same, but they do not end the same. So with ghosting and zombieing at the beginning is where you're developing a relationship with someone, and it is just like rainbows and unicorns, right? But all of a sudden, where ghosting happens is that relationship dies, and I don't want to say relationship that you became an exclusive type, but I'm just saying that you are starting to get to know and develop feelings and getting to know each other. But what happens after, when in the ghosting perspective, that it's no longer, that person is no longer to be reached, or the things that they normally would do to call you at the same time or visit you, it no longer exists. Now, where the zombieing comes in, oh Lord, this is what I call my peekaboo. A peekaboo. Yes, a peekaboo. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where everything is going good, then they disappear, and then 3 weeks later, hello.
Hey, big head.
Hey, big head. It is where they want to engage in that, and where you go into an emotional roller coaster. Men and women experience it on both ends from individuals that they engage with. So one is really exactly what it means. A zombie. It's dead, but then it comes back to haunt you again, knowing you shouldn't even been dabbling in that. Ghosting is just someone that comes to haunt you, and you just like, it's in my head, I don't want to deal with it, in that perspective. So yeah, I've been in that life before.
So Crystal, she's not been in that life.
I've been on both ends. Look, you said be real.
You're very true.
and I've been the person to receive it. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't mature enough to actually say, I'm not about you. You're not part of my ministry of going on the love train, you know?
Not the love train. That's honesty and accountability over the
Look, that's called growth.
Yeah, exactly.
And from a safety standpoint, sometimes choosing ghosting is not a bad choice. Once you identify that an individual may be irrational, not healthy, or whatever else, it's a good idea to cut all contact so that you can remain
it
safety.
could be disrespectful though too. Like
if I've deemed you a threat, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
securing me.
When it comes to someone
Correct.
that I feel
Correct.
threatened by or something that's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I'm not engaging in that.
Yeah, I'm the person that reads the restraining order list, and if you have too many check marks on that list, then that you may potentially qualify for, then that's a wrap for me.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm going to secure myself.
Like it's a credit card.
Well, I joined the police academy, so I know a little bit more than what I should.
Police academy.
I did, so I know stuff. So certain behaviors and the gaslighting and things like that, I know it may hit a list. Like, wait a minute. You're doing too much. And for me, secure myself, let me go. And then, let's be honest, every one of us around this table is somebody. You Googleable.
Right.
I mean, 100.
You can
your stuff come up.
Yes,
you own property. You own stuff. Is city data. Let's be honest. So us women who are evolved and actually doing something with ourselves, we have a little bit more at stake. So we got to move different. So I may have to use one of these things, unfortunately, because
Yeah, good. All right. Crystal, you want to hop in there?
Well, I unfortunately wasn't familiar with these terms, so that lets you know how far out of the realm I am. That didn't come up in my Google searches and in my research analysis. So I appreciate the street cred and letting me know what the words are around. But I think about this data a lot, and it made me think about my friendships and the conversations that I've had with my girlfriends and in doing research and focus groups and hearing women talk about their challenges with relationships. And just, this is not data driven, but just what I hear people say in focus groups when it comes to relationships is I hear people talking about being in polygamous relationships. Right? So they are the other woman, or they may be three people in a relationship. They know each other and they have these just kind of group relationships. I hear people talk about looking to other women. They were not traditionally attracted to other women, but because they struggled to find a suitable male mate, they have now found a suitable female mate, and companionship then turned to love. I've also heard people talk about the struggles they have of realizing that the likelihood of them finding a suitable mate might mean them going outside of their education. It might mean them going outside of their income. Or it might mean them going outside of their lived experiences. And so some have found love and gratification in that way, and others are kind of, struggling with all of those things. I think we all grew up as individuals who dreamed of what we all call a unicorn, taller than us, all of these things, as at our same education level, our same upbringing, our same dreams and visions and hopes, our same luggage, right? All of those things, and those things aren't happening. So I hear people talk about that. And ladies, the other thing I hear people talk about is just trying to be in a place where you might find a suitable mate. In our everyday activities, are we places where single suitable mates might be? So if you work in a place, I work in a place that's nearly all women, right? And it's a small company. I'm not downtown walking around to different restaurants for lunch where I may bump into people. We are behind closed doors for 10 hours with us. I go out. I'm members of women's organizations, the sorority, the Women's Civic Club. You're certainly not going to meet a significant other sitting in the room with 200 women. Talking to, well, but if you are looking for heterosexual relationships, I often find myself doing the things I enjoy, like the arts or entertainment or things of that nature. But single men don't typically go to those places. And even if they are single, they're not married, they are typically with a friend, a sister, or someone else that would enjoy that entertainment as well. And so a good friend told me, she said, Crystal, you need to start going to the NAACP meetings and the Urban League meetings and places where there's philanthropy and passion with mixed gender. Right, because I'm getting my philanthropy and passion through women's organizations. You need to get that, through mixed gender. You need to start going to industry groups and industry meetings, and the Blacks in marketing and the Blacks in public relations and all of the things that you do, and the National Black MBA Association, so you can surround yourself with people who might be eligible mates. Switch it up some. You have to do that. So I hear people talking about that. And I also hear a lot of my friends talking about finding significant others in geographic areas where there's a higher concentration of Black men. So that could be military bases, former military towns where there's a lot of retired military.
That's where I need to go.
I'm just saying, demographically, I'm the data person. I'm not the relationship expert. I'm not doing any of this other stuff. But there are other cities where there is a sizable industry of places where Black men are. Military is one, manufacturing is another, right? You look at other places like that, that might just have a greater pool of suitable mates. So those are some things that I just hear my friends talk about. I don't know if you all as experts are doing this, but those things are very real. And we as Black women are going to have to make some decisions for our future. We can decide to be comfortable in being single. We can do that, right? And many of us are at an income where our bills are paid, we have some we're on a plan for retirement and all of that. But I can tell you, know my life would be a whole lot easier if I had somebody else, split that bill and have some benefits and all those other kinds of things. But so there are some who are content with that. But I don't care who you are. I am not a relationship specialist, but I am an individual. You cannot tell me that there is not a need for love and companionship and intimacy and all of that. So
I'm glad you got there, because I was like, it ain't just about the bill. It's about the love. And I know you always say I'm lovey-dovey, and I am. I love.
Yes, she does. So I just feel like, we as Black women who are single need to make some difficult decisions around our future.
Yes.
And it may be outside of our race. It may be outside of our education. It may be outside of our income, and it may be outside of our loved experiences. You have to decide what works for you, but we cannot continue to live our lives with this, I'm okay being single.
It's the city girl effect.
Yeah.
That's they the lyrics, and I won't, go into the lyrics because they're a little vulgar. But they real blank blank give a blank about a blank, and
that's a lot of blanks.
That's a lot of blanks.
Blank.
But basically, get money. I don't care as long as he's spending money. And that sentiment of I don't need anybody, and that is a poison. That has plagued specifically our community, because we forget about all the other things that you just mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. So changing up where we may meet people, being open to dating other people. Mm-hmm. I always ask my friends, when they say, "Well, I did da 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 da," right? And I go, "And how has that worked for you?" And then, try something new. You keep going for this type of person, and that has not historically worked for you. You might have to switch to
a unicorn. And you
are you a unicorn?
Are you a coyote? It don't make no sense to try to fish for and search for what you yourself has not become. That is such a crazy alignment, man. I think it's so unfair for anyone to do that. I really think that when you take this time to listen to the feedback of your peers, your friends, and what you're doing and develop yourself or whatever, I ain't got a problem finding no man. I find guys everywhere. I don't got to move. I don't got to join clubs. It's men everywhere. Good men all the time. But I don't understand some of the things that's going on with women that I'm encountering. They're in my coaching. And when I ask them what they want these things that they are not. And I have to say, let's finish this coaching. Let's go to the coaching. Let's become the woman of your dreams. Because you're looking for the men of their dreams, and you just want these guys to settle for you the way you are right now. Let's be fair,
you're
man.
The woman.
Right, and you got some body parts,
right.
and you think that's the compatible thing to do.
We've lost our sense of. I hate to.
Yes,
I hate to go to this.
You're right on track. You're right on track.
Well, the thing is, we've lost our softness in womanhood, and some of us have been conditioned that your independence is everything, and there is no need. Which goes back to what you said, Crystal. It's just. We have to get out that frame of mind that we don't need anyone in our lives, but everyone needs someone.
Right. They're operating out of their disappointment, out of their hurt.
You know, and we have to start being vulnerable with people, but we've been so disappointed. And so therefore we're willing to digress to other avenues, polyamorous relationships, polygamy. And there's so many people that are down low, and I'm talking about females. And so many times we cultivate this idea that men are just down low. But there are women that are in these relationships secretly with other women and dealing with a man and began this polyamorous lifestyle. So it's one of those things. It's just we just got to deal with who we are. We got to know who we are. I'm not saying, and then what I've learned even on my podcast, that sometimes women, we come in with this list of how we want our mates to be, but we haven't did a self-assessment of what we need to be. And it goes back to, I think I said before, the compatibility. You know, we have to stop looking for the compatibility because you may be that person that is the devil that's looking within yourselves. So, and then, you know, I think it goes back to you, Domonique. It's just really examining where you need to be in your life before you can invite somebody in the space. There was a saying, I don't know who said it, and I won't be wrong, but so many times we're looking for someone to fill us. We already are the gallon, but we're inviting a pint into our lives. So it's one of those things, the dating here, we got to get out of our own way. And start looking at other people that could possibly enhance our lives emotionally, spiritually, financially, so we can be better individials. Absolutely. And that's all what Kiki got to say.
Not projecting that on other individuals who don't need to be your therapist or equipped to try to distill these things in you. I see a lot of that.
Well, I think it's really important. And, you know, I will say for myself, I had to make some changes in myself to find to be more attractive to the person that I wanted to be attracted to, not the person, not an individual, but the kind of person, right? Yep. And so I'm telling you, every person has to do this, but that becoming your own unicorn is important. And that's something we have to look at. But I'll tell you something else we have to look at is a friend of mine said, you know, when you go out, you always go out with a group of girls. So even if you go to a place where there might be some single people, you come in with an entourage and you all are all sitting there and you're talking to each other and people can't come in and talk to you that way.
And another thing
that's a scary thing for men. That's the most scariest thing, to be prejudged. And you're going to be influenced by what your girlfriend says. It's such a scary thing.
But also, too, because I just had this conversation with a male. They're also, too, may be intimidated to come into your circle because of what you represent or what the people that are surrounding you represent. That may be the intimidation for them to just even say hello, because they may know someone in that circle. You know, everyone knows everyone. Somebody. That's 6 degrees around separation. The thing is, pretty much one-on-one. So one of the things is we have to be inviting to allow individuals that you want to date to come into this space, but you also got to check your surroundings too, because they can be influential about how other people see you. They, even though that may not be your representation, you just like the people you are, but in their minds, they think that your behavior is going to be the same as that person that you hang with. You know,
people to
you are guilty by association.
There it is.
Because I'm going to do it. If you look nice, you look great, but you hang with a whole bunch of somethings and some somethings, guess what I'm gonna do? Oh, nah, that's you. You just cleaned today. Yeah. You just took a bath today. Nah, that's you. That's your character. There's a thing saying that you can tell how a person is or who they are by the people that keep around them, their friends. Then you will know. Listen, very true. I go out alone. That's probably why I meet a lot of people.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I go out by myself. I go to galas by myself. I go to places and I meet tons of people all the time.
Ashli, what were you gonna say?
I think that it's Domonique hit on this point of intimidation in terms of, people being kind of that fear of walking up to a group of ladies, if you will, just using the example that was already given. It can cause self-doubt, right? Like, well, I might have it together before when I walked in, but dang, now I'm looking at this group. Do I have it together enough to,
For 5 women?
Right. Okay. Because it's true. We do sit in a group, and one person will say something and affect how you. Now, you might have thought he was cute, right? Right? Yeah. And then you're hungry. Girl, look at them jeans. And now you're like, okay, well, I don't say nothing about man in the jeans, but it's true. So not only exuding that. And Kiki, I think you referred to it as softness, right? So not only going back to that, but also being inviting to the point of, in that self-confidence, I don't need my approval to come from my circle in terms of my unicorn, right? What I want or who I want to date. And I think that's really important when you're stepping out. So ladies, be careful.
And I think women, we can also start approaching men. That doesn't mean and let me be clear, I am not saying chasing or pursuing, but sometimes what I was taught, I'm sorry, but I was sometimes taught men ain't that smart. And I don't mean it. No, I don't mean it in the negative. I don't mean it in a negative way.
I don't agree with that.
No. Listen. I don't. Let me. What I'm saying is, I don't mean it in an educational setting. I'm not saying they dumb. I'm just saying sometimes they may not know how to approach the situation, or that they know that there's an interest. So therefore, you have to take the first step to introduce him into your space, and then allow him to take the lead. I am not calling y'all men. I'm not saying
not complicated. Not the sound effect. What it is? Or it's not, I'm not. Don't make it too complex.
I think sometimes we as women, we make it more complex than it should have to be.
We do that most of the time.
That's what I'm saying.
We can initiate a conversation.
But I'm sorry, y'all got all these degrees and stuff. But we over here, we say you ain't very smart. But I'm just saying, I think we have to change. Allow them. You can tell the man that you are interested.
Correct.
Get rid of that societal norm of he has to approach you first, or it's not real. Right. Or you
already starting off with
the divide, if you will, and that I totally agree. And like you said, there's a difference between chasing and introducing yourself. There's no harm in that. Being approachable. That doesn't mean that you're less of a quote unquote lady, and that doesn't mean that he's not a man, right? Because a lot of times we use that as the definition of, well, he wasn't man enough to approach me.
But how does he know the
approach? Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's the whole approach.
And that's not fair. But then you're cutting yourself off.
Exactly.
Right? Potentially from a great, time with somebody because you were too caught up in, again, societal norms of what is a man or what is a woman, what that means.
The gender roles.
The gender roles. The societal gender roles often determine how we date.
Right.
So I want to go back to Domonique really quickly. So what type of relationship coaching and counseling do you offer, and can you tell me what that entails?
Sure. So I am a vision coach. So I help women just align their life with the ideal vision that they're envisioning for their life. And so we encounter different barriers along that journey, and I help them see them the way they are and develop them to the way they want to be. So that's the form of coaching that I do. I'm also a licensed mental health and substance abuse instructor and health coach. And I just use that to really dig deep into the systems and the cycles, the habits that we have. How these things in your life has affected your mental health, your framing, how you see things. And a lot of women may show up as all men are dogs. And I just don't think that I don't have to do all of that, don't take all of that. And we have to address their underlying issues and teach them new things so that they can understand that, no, these are not your enemies. No one's your enemy. People make mistakes. This was an experience from your past, and we can release that. And we don't have to assign future people these same things. So what else do I do? I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's a lot already. Ashli, what do you do?
So I'm a doctor of clinical social work, independently licensed social worker, and I'm also licensed to treat trauma, so trauma-informed care. And I will soon be opening up my own practice. Thank you.
Yes, let's cap that up.
So I need to set up my point.
I got you. Put it on the books. And that will be called Hill to Heal.
I love it.
So thank you. So I, now I do DEI work. So I'm the director of DEI, but I previously was a behavioral health therapist. And so a lot of times that involved, family therapy, individual psychotherapy, and things like that. And, to Domonique's point, really doing the self-work to iron out those issues in your relationship, because it definitely affects, how you deal with people, and healthy relationships are determined by you addressing your own baggage and trauma.
I love it. And Lakeisa, tell us about your podcast, Talk About It Tuesdays and matchmaking.
Well, Talk About It Tuesdays is a Facebook Live podcast that focuses on relationships between the ages of about 30, 35, all the way up. The dating woes, dealing with or questioning individuals of the realism of dating or relationship in their perspective. It's honest, it's real. We also play around, we add a little humor to it.
We add a little
heart. It's not, but I mean, the dating game, the way that it works is that we have to be real of what we're dealing with and to be honest, so we can, as Dr. Hill says, heal, so we can move on rather than keep on carrying the baggage. And that was the whole purpose of creating it, is just to have a space of being vulnerable and trying to maneuver through this single life, whether divorce, widow, single, in situationships. It's just giving another angle for individuals to just deal with it and be honest.
So just really quickly, in 30 seconds, matchmaking. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, let me just say this. What I've dealt with, we just had our show last week. The matchmaking is difficult because I will say, just like Crystal said, the numbers for women are high, but the men are extremely low for participation. Their eagerness to even show that they're single is very hidden. A lot of men do not want to say that they're single because they may be, as I reflect back, in a situationship that they're not willing to tell. So it's been hard for individuals to really be matched, made in heaven, or connecting with individuals in my space. I know a lot of, what is it called? The dating, the speed dating has been on the rise for individuals meet, but it's not matched up for men to women or women to men and things of that nature. So it's been a difficult task. I haven't found anybody, and I'm on every other week.
But there's still time and opportunity.
Hello.
All All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. This has been amazing. We'll share this recording and the resources mentioned on the All In Cincinnati Facebook page soon. Join us again next Saturday at 8 a.m. as we continue building racial equity as we honor, celebrate, and love Black women in Hamilton County. Thanks so much.